How's it going, NPC Nation? Welcome back to a brand new video. This video is going to be called Let's Talk About What's Happening in Africa. So recently, a lot of things have been happening in Africa. Two major things that just happened, well, three, I want to talk about. The first thing that happened in the beginning of the year was Nigeria, allegedly the presidential election, the current president's party and stuff like that, committed voter fraud and rigged the election and stuff like that. So, if that happened, why isn't he ousted out of office and, the rightful president actually put into office? And why aren't they, have a re-election or recount? But if you're corrupt enough that you're in charge as president, it's hard to do. It's hard to get away for that once you become president if you're corrupt enough. I think, if you rig an election, if the election's rigged, you should try to investigate and see if he actually did win and see if there's any election rigging. They said I think there was not enough evidence to conclude that thought. I don't know. I'm not a politician over there. I'm not an expert in African politics, so I don't know what they do if elections are rigged or anything like that, or voter fraud. In the United States, it's illegal, and you go to federal prison. Another thing that happened in Africa that I really want to talk about, it's splitting. It's been splitting for thousands, maybe millions of years, but now it's at this point of splitting the tectonic plates that it's going right through the middle. So, will Africa be considered a two continents if it splits from the left, or is that going to be, if it splits, floats left, and it joins up with the Americas? Will it be considered part of Americas in all those countries? If it does split fully into two pieces, the one that goes to the right, if it floats to the right or up, will it be considered a continent will it be considered, all of its countries considered part of the European continent? Or will it still be considered two continents? I don't think it's going to split to the point where it's floating past each other, but if it does split to that point where they no longer are one continent, that they're considered two, Africa 1, Africa 2, or considered just, part of Europe and Asia, and then the other continent's part of the Americas, or Oceania. Could be part of that too, or Antarctica, if it floats down. Because Antarctica is the only continent without people, and it's the only continent that countries have a pact not to, make into its own country or anything like that, or to steal from the other countries, not to invade their spaces and their camps and stuff like that. It's the only peaceful, nation in the world. Another thing is the Niger coup. What is going on with Niger? I just learned about this 2 weeks ago. I've not heard about this at all. And this is my first time hearing about this. So I'm guessing, I searched it up though. I did some research. The people that committed the coup said it was his own military. He said it's the benefit of the country, and to make sure the country, doesn't go into complete collapse. But the thing is, there's some successful coups, and there's some coups that make sense. I know nothing about African politics, and then there might be a Niger civil war, though, with this coup, because, coups are not all successful. There are some that are successful. There are some revolts that are successful, and there are some revolutions that are successful. But then it becomes chaos. Like, for example, the French Revolution. It was successful to dethrone the king, but then you got an emperor out of it. So, you got another king. Napoleon considered himself an emperor. His movie is going to be coming out soon. Hoping it's good. But, That's the thing, the difference between coups, though. They did appoint a prime minister to run the country, but the president is going to, you know, fight back from this. It seems like there's going to be a Nigeria civil war coming back from this. Because he won the election, and it was a boiling up coup from his predecessor from the last election in 21. But, being president for 2 years and then a coup happens and then you're ousted as president, he's still in charge. Because if you search up Nigeria president, he's still in charge of the country. A coup doesn't mean he's not in charge. It's just they have a puppet military, basically, and a puppet state of whoever ran the coup. I think there's going to be a Nigeria civil war. A lot of people are saying there's going to be a World War Africa because the Nigeria president wants U.S. involvement. The U.S. should not be the hold your hand country. We should not be, we're going to hold your hands. We're going to get you into out of this. I understand U.S. support for allies and stuff like that, if you're allied with a country, but you shouldn't call on the U.S. if the U.S. doesn't need to get involved. That's why I've always been saying, if the U.S. doesn't need to get involved, if you don't attack the United States or its people, the U.S. shouldn't get involved with your conflict. But they somehow do, because they're the whole handhold country. But they hold your hand. They're the protector of the world, basically. Not their own people, but the world. But I think there will be a civil war in Nigeria if this coup doesn't get taken care of. Hopefully it does get taken care of. Like I said, I don't live there. I'm not a big politician there or anything like that. I don't know anything about Nigeria politics or African politics. But I think that if it was a necessary coup, and hopefully, if it was a necessary coup, then it should be successful. If it wasn't necessary, and the president, but the president didn't seem like to do anything to prevent it, because he was president for 2 years, and it's been, his predecessor was kind of stirring the pot a little bit with his administration, but then you come in and you've been president for 2 years, and your administration is not doing anything to stop the turmoil and stuff, and then you get overthrown by your own military. They have enough of your turmoil and your BS. It's like when the Taliban took over Afghanistan again. But you're always going to have a coup, and you're always going to you'll have a coup. A coup happens. A lot of historians said this. The coups over the history have happened because of turmoil of the previous administration, and then the new administration comes in and still does nothing about it. And that's why your administration gets taken over, or your government gets taken over or your party gets taken over because you did nothing about to stop the turmoil. And you kept, teasing people about it. That's one way to define how a coup happens, is because turmoil it's been boiled over for years and years, and people are just tired of it. And they just want something to change. They want to put their leaders in charge because their leaders are better fit and they know what the country needs, and they think what the country needs is leadership that is better than your own. You're not a good leader. The people have the right to overthrow you for that. And I don't think there will be a World War Africa, is what people are going to describe it as. I don't think there's going to be another world war. When war breaks out, especially nowadays, people are thinking that, World War III, it's not going to happen. If World War III ever happens, it's multiple countries getting attacked. It's going to be multiple countries getting attacked instead of turmoil on your own continent or your own country. It's going to be multiple countries instead of two countries, with Russia and Ukraine, two countries in Europe fighting over. Russia thinks Ukraine is part of Europe, part of them. They want it back. Ukraine said no, that's turmoil. Not World War III. The only way that can happen is like if Russia's like, oh, invading England or any of its UK countries, invading, the countries that border us, and then. But personally, I think that in Niger, it will happen that a civil war might break out. Eventually, supporters of the new regime, the coup, and then anti-coup supporters. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, press the share button, press the like button, press the red shiny subscribe button, press the bell so notified every time I upload a video. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.